Hi, my name is Carissa Skirta, and I'm going to be explaining relational goal pursuit theory. So, relational goal pursuit theory was presented by Cupach, Spitzberg, and Carson in the year 2000. It focuses on disjunctive relationships, which are sort of the one-sided, non-mutual relationships, and it goes over what takes a person from normative behaviors of relational pursuit to obsessive or even potentially threatening. So we're going to start with disjunctive relationships. Basically, they lack mutuality, like I said before, where one person is really desiring an intimate relationship with another, but that other person is not interested at all. Then obsessive relational intrusion is more the general term for these attempts. And it's, as you can read, repeated unwelcome attempts to pursue an intimate relationship with another individual. On the more extreme end is stalking, which is basically the severe manifestation of obsessive relational intrusion. And for something to be considered stalking, the victim must feel threatened. Also, unlike obsessive relational intrusion, it can be motivated by non-relational factors, such as basically assassinating someone, but naturally and thankfully that's not. So previously, perspectives on ORI and stalking have been more psychological based. One of the first ones is object relations theory, and it states that there's a developmental phase in which an infant begins to differentiate between self and other objects. And not all other objects are created equal. There's the primary object, which is basically the primary caregiver, is what tends to be that primary object. So when this process is disrupted, it may lead to them idealizing others or fixating on them because this initial relationship with this other object that they first experienced was disrupted. Another perspective that has been used for ORI is attachment theory. You have the four dimensions of attachment theory, or the four attachment styles, which are secure, preoccupied, fearful avoidant, or dismissive avoidant. And it's based on the model of self and the model of other, basically whether they have a positive or negative view of themselves or a positive or negative view of others. It's also been studied along the avoidance anxiety continuum. So for the preoccupied style, where they have a positive model of others and negative view of themselves, they're actually more likely to report unrequited love, possibly making them more likely to engage in ORI behaviors. Also, insecure styles in general tend to obsess more in relationships and experience more jealousy. So relational goal pursuit theory is different in that it focuses on communicative and relational factors that lead to this escalating behavior. It begins with initial contact between the pursuer and his or her object of desire, and then the processes of rumination, emotional flooding, and rationalization kind of exacerbate the situation and individuals' misperception of the situation, and result their behavior escalates. So with initial contact, there's basically two main ways it can go. There can be the brief contact with a previously unknown individual, and then the pursuer's goal is relationship formation, but more commonly is that it results from a failed relationship, and the goal will be relationship restoration or reparation. So one of the reasons that ORI is so difficult to kind of identify is that it begins with normative relationship maintenance behaviors or affinity-seeking behaviors. It basically starts out with these courtship behaviors that are common to all romantic relationships, but the escalation and their misperceptions of their object of desire that fueled by these three different processes that really bring it into a dangerous situation. Beginning with rumination, Cupach, Spitzberg, and Carson referred to it as the occurrence of repeated, intrusive, aversive thoughts. So part of this issue is that this unmet relational goal leads to further dwelling. So they're just thinking about it and thinking about it. And they have this goal of repairing the relationship, and being unable to meet it is making them think of it more. And this is believed to result from goal linkage, And basically that's based on this hierarchy of goals, which is the belief that humans internally prioritize different goals. And linking is when someone believes that a lower order goal, such as a relationship with someone, is necessary for realizing a higher order goal, such as life happiness. So the object of desire is repeatedly pursued due to this belief, and also because of self-efficacy, in that the pursuer believes that they do have a chance of achieving. The second process is emotional flooding, and this is being inundated and just totally overwhelmed by negative emotions. There's two emotional clusters that Cupach, Spitzberg, and Carson identify, and that's shame, anger, and guilt, and then jealousy and possessiveness. So these negative feelings serve as a constant reminder of the unachieved goal with all that rumination, and then with this rumination, individuals experiencing jealousy are further motivated by these obsessive thoughts. They're further motivated to increase their possessive actions. And then guilt and rumination can lead to a cycle where the pursuer attempts to repair the relationship because they feel guilty, which leads them being rejected again, which leads to more guilt, more rejection. That keeps going on. And then with shame, someone who's experiencing shame and ruminating over it quite a bit may actually seek revenge, which tends to for the object of desire. So the third process is rationalization. Basically, it's how the pursuer is telling themselves that what they're doing is okay. And the pursuer may have distorted perception of the object of desire's qualities and behaviors, and they basically only see them in this positive light, and they don't notice anything negative that they say or do. And this is only exacerbated by indirect rejections, wherein the pursuer won't even realize that they are being rejected, or also cultural scripts. There's this expectation in media where men pursue women and women are supposed to resist it, or play coy, and the pursuer may draw on these scripts to justify what they're doing. And so these indirect rejections where the object of desire is just trying to help them save face actually causes the situation to escalate further. So as I mentioned earlier, all these processes like mutually reinforce each other. I know I went through them in order, but they're actually all occurring at the same time and causing everything to get worse together. So first you have the disjunctive relationship that results from the linkage of these goals, and then rumination and rationalization perpetuate how much the pursuer is thinking about this, and they reinforce that this goal is so important because of how much emotional flooding it's causing them. So rejection leads to negative emotions, further obsession, further rumination, and rationalization for continued pursuit, and further escalation of behavior. And at this point, when it escalates and starts threatening the safety of the object of desire, that's when it has escalated into stalking. Here, main reference from the seminal article from Cupach, Spitzberg, and Carson. And thank you for listening.